The top stories tonight in Y News. The Philippines officially kicked off its COVID-19 vaccination campaign today with shots first administered to healthcare workers, PNP and military personnel, and cabinet officials.
At least 5 personnel of Veterans Memorial Medical Center were hospitalized after being inoculated with the Sinovac vaccine.
Another Chinese vaccine, Sinopharm, applies for emergency use authorization in the Philippines. Delivery of AstraZeneca vaccines to the Philippines faces delays due to supply shortage.
Government officials urge the public to accept what vaccine is available and set aside their fears.
And get to know the first person in the country to receive the Sinovac vaccine. Good evening, Philippines and the world. We are reporting live from North Avenue, Quezon City. Today is Monday, March 1, 2021. I am Harleen Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Thief.
The country officially kicks off today its symbolic vaccination campaign against the coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19. Cabinet officials, along with healthcare workers and police and military personnel in Metro Manila, were among the first to be vaccinated with the Sinovac vaccines donated by China. But with a limited supply of vaccines, government officials are still convincing the public to get vaccinated. Rosalie Cos explains why.
A day after the Philippines received the 600,000 doses of China-donated Sinovac vaccines, the government commenced its COVID-19 vaccination drive. 1,200 CoronaVac vaccine doses were sent to the UP Philippine General Hospital early this morning, one of the 6 hospitals in Metro Manila where the symbolic COVID-19 vaccination program was held to boost the public's vaccine confidence. Dr. Gerardo Gap Legaspi, director of the state-owned hospital, became the first person in the country to officially receive the coronavirus vaccine. The nurse who assisted the vaccination is Sherlock Santos. According to the PGH chief, he took the first jab because CoronaVac, Sinovac's vaccine, has been approved by the Food and Drug Administration.
Hindi po siya ganoon kaganda sa pananaw ng karamihan, pero pagka po sinuri ninyo ng mas malalim, maintindihan po ninyo kung bakit ako ang unang nag-volunteer magpabakuna. Katulad sinabi ko, ang aking pong mga pananaw ay hango sa aking paniniwala sa datos at walang ibang patbasihan po. No?
Apart from Dr. Legaspi, other top government officials were also inoculated. Among them are FDA Director General Eric Domingo, MMDA Chairperson Ben-Hur Abalos, and Vaccine SAR and NTF versus COVID-19 Chief Implementer Secretary Carlito Galvez. PGH frontliners and medical experts also availed of the initial shots of the COVID-19 vaccines manufactured by Chinese Sinovac Biotech. The medical experts said it is better to have whatever vaccine is available in the country than let the chance pass to have oneself protected against the coronavirus disease.
Tanggapin po natin kung anong bakuna ang nandyan dahil ito po ay makakapagsalba ng buhay. 100% po sa severe. 50% sa inyo magkakasipon. Pero yung 50% na hindi nagkakasipon, hindi na masyado makakatransmit. Dun sa 50% na magkakasipon, walang mamamatay.
Whatever is here, magpabakuna na ho tayong lahat. Importante ho sa ating lahat para mayakap na natin uli ang mga mahal natin sa buhay, makita na natin uli mga kaklase natin. You know, we can go back to being close again with our loved ones.
Meanwhile, vaccine czar Galvez encouraged the public to have themselves vaccinated and set aside their fears once the shots are available. According to the top official, this is the obligation of the people.
Hindi po tayo pupunta sa new normal. Hindi po makaka-recover ang ating economy. Hindi natin maibabalik ang ating dating buhay, dating normal na buhay, kung hindi po tayo magpapakuna. Ito po ay moral obligation po ng lahat ng mga tao na dapat tayo po ay magpapakuna.
UPPGH targets to inoculate 100 of their personnel today and will improve their procedures in the coming days to have more people vaccinated. Meanwhile, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque was not among those inoculated because the allotted shots have already been consumed, and he said he might get his jab tomorrow. While Manila Mayor Isko Moreno said he's willing to be vaccinated with Coronavac once the state regulator allows him to do so. The government eyes to vaccinate all health workers in the country within the month of March through 1 million doses of Coronavac and 3.5 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccines through COVAX facility set to arrive in the country within the month. However, there are no details yet on the exact arrival of the AstraZeneca vaccines after its delivery was delayed today. On March 3 and 4, some of the donated vaccines will be shipped to the Vicente Soto Memorial Medical Center in Cebu, and on March 5 and 6, the vaccines will be shipped to the Southern Philippines Medical Center in Davao City. After this, vaccination rollout in these COVID-19 referral hospitals are expected to commence. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Employees at a hospital in Caloocan City are still hesitant to take the Sinovac vaccines despite being among the hospitals who received the first batch of vaccines from the government. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The Dr. Jose Rodriguez Memorial Hospital and Sanitarium in Caloocan City is one of the prime COVID-19 referral center in Metro Manila that received its first batch of COVID-19 vaccines. The government has allotted 600 doses of Sinovac vaccines to the hospital for the vaccination of 300 individuals. However, only 178 out of 1,911 employees volunteered to be vaccinated with the Sinovac brand. The medical chief of the hospital, Dr. Alfonso Victorino Famaran, is the first to receive the vaccine, though he preferred other brands. Dr. Famaran said that 95% of their employee are in favor of the Pfizer vaccine.
If the vaccine is sabay dumating, I would choose Pfizer. Sabay sila eh. Kasi mas informed kami pertaining to Pfizer. Kung sabay, ay walang dumating, Sinovac ako. Kailangan namin yung protection at the soonest possible time.
The hospital's chief nurse who received the Sinovac vaccine expressed his willingness to take any vaccine to protect his relatives against the virus.
Nung umpisa pa lang po, kahit ano po kasing vaccine na dumating, ako po ay decided na magpabakuna. Sa akin po, very important, hindi naman yung sarili ko lang. Mas importante sa akin yung mga nakapaligid po sa akin.
The vaccine recipients felt no pain after receiving the shot.
Itong Sinovac, hindi ko alam, tapos na pala eh. Sabihin, naturok nila, walang naramdaman, basta nilagyan na lang ng ng band-aid.
Usually, kahit yung flu vaccine po, after a few 5 to 10 minutes kasi, mahirap iangat ito. Ito ho, okay lang, wala hong masyadong issues dun sa pain.
Testing SAR Secretary Vince Dizon, who also received the Chinese vaccine, said the efficacy rate of Sinovac is also high.
Ang healthcare worker, kapag siya ay nabakunahan ng Sinovac, 100% or sigurado siyang hindi magkakaroon ng severe COVID-19. 50% pwede siyang magka-mild, 30% pwede siyang magkaroon ng moderate.
With almost 200 doses of Sinovac vaccines left, the hospital chief plans to give the rest of the vaccines to the personnel of other government hospitals who are included on their reserved list. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, medical frontliners thronged the lung center of the Philippines today to protest the COVID-19 vaccine rollout using one made by China's Sinovac. JP Nunez reports.
Ligtas at epektibong bakuna, ipaglaban!
Health workers staged a protest against the government for alleged inconsistency of its pronouncement on COVID-19 vaccine. More than 20 medical frontliners from the lung center of the Philippines gathered this morning as they protest that Sinovac is not the appropriate vaccine for them. They believe that it has a lower efficacy rate than other vaccines such as Pfizer, Moderna, among others.
Kasi ang mga health workers ay nag-aangalaga sa ating mga mamamayan, sa ating mga pasyente. What if, kasi inuuna ang mga health workers, what if kung magkaroon ng adverse side effects, itong vaccine na ito, sino na ang mangangalaga sa ating mga mamamayan, sa ating mga pasyente?
Despite the pronouncement of the Department of Health or DOH that the best vaccine available is the Sinovac, the alliance still prefers other brands.
Ang panawagan namin ay bigyan kami ng tamang vaccine. Yung vaccine na walang halong pagdududa kahit nakapiraso lamang.
Ang Sinovac po kasi wala siyang clinical trials publication, kaya hindi natin alam kung ano ang effect dito.
The administration of Lung Center of the Philippines has not yet commented on this issue. But President Rodrigo Duterte earlier said those who refuse to be vaccinated should wait for the next rollout of other vaccine brands. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Members of the Philippine National Police were also vaccinated today with the Sinovac vaccines. Most of them are personnel from the PNP Health Service. Lea Ilagan explains why.
At least 200 policemen were vaccinated at Camp Crame in Quezon City today. They were part of the 800 PNP personnel who were chosen to be vaccinated based on the doses allocation of the government for the PNP. PNP Chief Police General De Bolsina said officials and personnel from the PNP Health Service and PNP General Hospital were prioritized for the vaccination. The most senior PNP official who was vaccinated was Brigadier General Luisito Magnayi, the director of the PNP Health Service.
So far, nabakunahan ako ng 10:33 or 9:33 yata yung kanina. Then until now, wala pa naman ako nararamdaman. And even yung aking braso hindi naman nagnanam. And we still have 24 hours to monitor kung meron pa mga ibang reactions like yung sinasabing lalagnatin.
The PNP targets to vaccinate 200 personnel per day for 4 days.
Ang programa po namin, sir, ay nakalatag po 200 health worker, PNP health worker will be vaccinated per day. If I'm not mistaken, naka-roll out po yan into 4 days. So, naka-schedule na rin yan at according to the Director of Health Service at saka yung personnel namin, naka-schedule pa anong oras pupunta yung mga tao rito para po wala pong agawan, wala pong overcrowding at properly po.
Deputy Chief for Administration, Police Lieutenant General Guillermo Eliazar confirmed that 75% of the police force are now ready to be inoculated.
25% na lang ang ayaw sa kanila. Well, of course, nire-respeto natin, may karapatan silang tumanggi, but it is also the obligation of the PNP leadership na bigyan ng proteksyon yung ating mga kapulisan. Kaya ang ginagawa natin, talagang may effort tayo for awareness at maimpormahan sila.
There are 5 steps in the PNP vaccination drive. First is the registration. Second is the free vaccination counseling. Third is the screening process. Fourth is the vaccination, and fifth is the monitoring. The Department of Health has prepared the program if a personnel will experience any adverse effects from the vaccine.
If ever they develop any adverse events po, meron po tayong existing PhilHealth packages na pwedeng ma-avail, magkakaroon ng express lane, or we've been doing this, no? If for by any chance that the expenses will be above the existing PhilHealth package, ang Department of Health po, meron tayong existing medical assistance to indigent patients program.
Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
President Rodrigo Duterte is planning to visit China to personally thank President Xi Jinping for donating 600,000 doses of Sinovac vaccines. President Duterte noted China's gesture of delivering the vaccine through its government military aircraft, unlike other countries who needed to pick up the supply from China. The chief executive said he may push a trip to China by the end of the year. The president insisted during Sunday's arrival of China's Sinovac vaccine that China has not requested anything in return for the donated vaccine, adding that the donation is a gesture of friendship and solidarity between the two countries. Malacanang confirmed that the Chinese drug maker Sinopharm has applied for an emergency use authorization for its COVID-19 vaccine. However, the country's Food and Drug Administration is unaware of such an application. Rosalie Cos explains why.
Chinese pharmaceutical firm Sinopharm has been controversial in the country after some personnel of the Presidential Security Group got inoculated with their vaccines even without proper authorization from the Food and Drug Administration last year. President Rodrigo Duterte also prefers the Sinopharm vaccine, according to Malacanang. According to Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, the Sinopharm has already submitted their emergency use authorization application today. The official made the statement during the kick-off of the vaccination program of the government in UP Philippine General Hospital today.
They have already filed with the FDA an application for EUA for Sinopharm vaccine. Na-file na po.
However, the FDA has yet to confirm Sinopharm's EUA application. According to FDA Director General Dr. Eric Domingo, he is unsure if the application has been submitted online.
Well, as of last Friday po, wala pa naman akong nabalitaan na natanggap kami na na EUA application from Sinopharm. Today po kasi, hindi ko alam kung nag-apply sila online over the weekend, pero wala pa pong sinasabi sa akin.
Once received, the FDA will have thorough review of the Sinopharm vaccine trials as it did with the Sinovac vaccines. Domingo said it will take 4 to 6 weeks to act on the EUA application since Sinopharm vaccine has yet to secure an EUA from any stringent regulatory authority such as the United States of America, United Kingdom, or World Health Organization. Currently, 3 vaccine manufacturers have secured EUA from the state regulator. These are Pfizer-BioNTech, AstraZeneca, and Sinovac. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III himself administered CoronaVac on the first vaccinee at the Lung Center of the Philippines this morning. Although the health chief trusts that Sinovac's COVID-19 vaccine CoronaVac can give 100% protection against severe COVID-19 infection, he is not eligible to receive CoronaVac. Aiko Miguel will tell us why live. Yes, Aiko, good evening.
Yes, William, good evening. The emergency use authorization of Sinovac's COVID-19 vaccine CoronaVac indicates that it can be administered on individuals 60 years old and above. That's according to a statement from the country's health department. William, our health chief, Francisco Duque III, belongs to that age group and therefore is not eligible to be vaccinated with CoronaVac. Department of Health or DOH also clarifies Secretary Duque can be willing to receive a COVID-19 vaccine only with an appropriate one, following the government's prioritization framework. Even Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte is willing to be inoculated no matter which brand is available, as long as there is enough supply and health workers are prioritized. Here is Quezon City Mayor Joy Belmonte.
Mayor, mauna ka. Tapos susunod kami.
when we mentioned it to Secretary, the Secretary said, we must not deprive a health worker of a vaccine. And I agree with you, sir, and thank you for that. And I'm gladly going to wait my time, which is in the priority 6. Happy po akong maghintay sa kung kailan talaga dapat ako. Pero kung kinakailangan naman ako, para lang kumbinsihin ng mga mamamayan ng Lungsod Quezon, ready naman din po tayo. At para po sa akin, pare-pareho lang naman yung mga bakunang yan.
William, according to the Lung Center of the Philippines Administration, about 150 of their workers have registered for the inoculation using Coronavac. Lung Center of the Philippines Executive Director Dr. Vincent Balanag said the 20 healthcare workers who are attending to COVID-19 patients were willing to get the job during the ceremonial vaccine rollout today at the hospital. This is much less than 90% of their eligible population who are willing to be inoculated with Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccines. Dr. Balanag says that the number could still increase in the following days. There are 600 doses of Coronavac allotted to the Lung Center of the Philippines. Dr. Eileen Aniceto, the hospital's chief of emergency medicine outpatient department, is the hospital's #1 vaccinee. At first, she was hesitant, but then said she trusts Coronavac's protection for medical frontliners.
At least when you get vaccinated, you have a better chance of surviving this infection. And that's what we're after. My stand is always, whatever is available, I will get it. And it happened to be the first one available. Don't just choose for yourself. Choose to get vaccinated for your family and for the community and for our country.
Meanwhile, Secretary Duque emphasized that the public should not base a vaccine's efficacy on its origin. In order to achieve herd immunity, people often exposed to COVID-19 patients should be inoculated, he added.
Ito na po ang panahon. Sabi nga ni Dr. Anthony Fauci, the best vaccine is the one that is currently available. And what is the currently available vaccine? We have only Sinovac. So ito po, tangkilikin natin. Suportahan po natin ito. Ito ang magiging susi sa muli natin pagkamit ng dating sigla ng ating ekonomiya bago nagkaroon ng pandemya.
William, in an interview today, Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeres said the rollout of Sinovac's biotech's vaccine may last from 2 to 3 weeks. And that is the latest live. Back to William.
Yes, thank you, Aiko Miguel, reporting live. Meanwhile, the Marikina City Local Government Unit ensures no power outage in its COVID-19 vaccine storage facility. Asher Kadapan Jr. tells us why.
The cold chain facility in Marikina City should maintain a temperature of 2 to 8 degrees Celsius as it is crucial for the shelf life of COVID-19 vaccines. With this, Mayor Marcelino Teodoro coordinated with its power distributor, Meralco, to make sure that there will be no service interruption in the area.
Kung kasakaling magkaroon ng power interruption, hindi naiwasan, by accident may bumagsak na transmission line o naputol na transmission line, ay sinisiguro pa rin nitong storage facility natin na merong uninterrupted power supply sila dahil may standby power generator.
As the first batch of Sinovac vaccines were delivered in the country yesterday, authorities did their best to transport the vaccines from Villamor Air Base to the storage facility in Marikina City. After 40 minutes of transit, the vaccines were immediately transferred from the refrigerated truck to the facility. The establishment only allows entry of limited number of persons to avoid sudden increase of temperature inside that is regularly checked throughout the operation.
Meron tayong mga permanent regular personnel na nagbabasa ng temperature reading, kumukuha ng mga temperatura sa iba't ibang point dun sa storage facility para masigurado na tama yung temperatura dun sa storage ng mga vaccine natin.
Mayor Teodoro assures the public that they will do their best to take care of the storage facility as more vaccines are expected to be delivered in the coming days. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
30 military officers and healthcare workers of V. Luna Medical Center in Quezon City received their first dose of Sinovac vaccines today. Some of the vaccinees that we asked say they have not experienced any side effects after receiving the vaccine. One of them is 41-year-old Major Harold Sante, who has been with the AFP Health Service Command for 7 years. For Major Sante, he has no problem with the Sinovac vaccine despite the hesitancy from the public.
Nung binigay siya, hindi siya ganun kasakit compared dun sa sa ibang vaccines po natin. Regardless of yung nagbigay ng gamot, hindi siya masakit kung sa experience. Wala akong naramdaman iba.
The commanding officer of the V. Luna Medical Center, Colonel Fatima Claire Navarro, also did not experience any side effect after receiving Coronavac. It was Health Secretary Francisco Duque III who administered her shot during the ceremonial turnover.
Okay naman. In fact, yung pag-inject niya, hindi siya masakit. And I didn't feel yung heaviness na usually napipil pagka mga vaccines. Naniniwala ako na kailangan na natin talaga ng something that will protect us. And naniniwala ako na wala nang dapat na ma-ospital, ng critical ang kondisyon o mamatay nang dahil lang sa COVID-19 na nandito na ang bakuna.
Out of the 600,000 donated doses of Sinovac vaccines, 100,000 were allotted to the Department of Defense. The hospital received 600 doses earlier today. A number of 100 vaccinees was the initial target for the vaccination today, but it was trimmed down to 30 due to time constraints. The government officials, meanwhile, defended the vaccine amid criticisms and public hesitancy.
Maano ba naman? Nasuklian naman natin ang gobyerno ng China na gamitin natin itong mga bakunang ito. Wag na po tayo hanggat sa maaari mag-antay pa ng mga iba pang bakuna.
Wag na po tayong maging choosy. Whatever is here with us, it's effective, it's safe. Let us accept it, embrace it, para lalo po nating mabilis maabot ang ating pong inaasam-asam na economic recovery.
The vaccination site was situated at a cover court inside the AFP Health Service Command compound. There, the vaccinees will have to register first and present their IDs and QR codes. They will proceed to the screening site for the taking of vital signs, to be followed by counseling, where they have to sign an informed consent. Once cleared, they will undergo the vaccination proper. After taking the jabs, they will be monitored at the surveillance site for 30 minutes for possible side effects. Meanwhile, Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana defended the mandatory inoculation of military members.
Kasi yung sundalo, susunod sa utos yan Susunod sa utos. Pag sinabi mo magpabakuna ka, magpabakuna yan Hindi totoo yan na maraming nagreklamo. Hindi naman mandatory na kung yung libre na yan, Sinovac, ipipilit namin. Hindi. Kung ayaw niya ng Sinovac, he will still be vaccinated by other brands na kung hindi available na libre, bayaran nila.
Lorenzana said around 360,000 doses will be needed to vaccinate the entire personnel of the armed forces. Meanwhile, 5 individuals were hospitalized at the Veterans Memorial Medical Center, or VMMC, after receiving the Sinovac vaccine shot. Dante Amento tells us why live. Yes, Dante?
Herlene, Dr. Dominador Chong, the VMMC director, explains that the dizziness and pain experienced in the post-vaccination is the mild effect, or are the mild effects of the Sinovac vaccine. A utility worker from the Philippine Veterans Affairs Office was rushed to the emergency room 3 minutes after he was inoculated. But the medical doctors are also considering exhaustion or high temperature in the area. A woman also got rashes. 2 men had experienced high blood pressure and a male who had abnormal heartbeat.
Pwedeng mangyari po yun talaga. Just like any other medication.
The hospital has refused to disclose the total number of healthcare workers and defense employees who got vaccinated today. Instead, the DND will announce it. Defense Secretary Lorenzana says about 100,000 doses are allocated, with 70,000 doses will be for the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP.
The government intends to inoculate 50 to 70 million Filipinos by the end of 2021. Kaya naman nais kong gamitin ang pagkakataong ito upang himukin ang lahat ng ating mga kababayan na makiisa sa hakbanging ito ng pamahalaan.
Meanwhile, among those persons who were inoculated in the hospital did not experience any adverse effect after receiving the vaccine. Health workers of the hospital are grateful with the opportunity given to them as venue of the vaccination rollout.
Wala lang. Kasi sanay naman ako sa vaccination. Wala lang. Wala. Gusto ko nga, sabi ko mag-rounds na ako, wag daw.
Absolutely okay. Wala pa akong naramdaman na pain. I don't feel any discomfort whatsoever. No? Okay naman.
Herlin, the VMMC administration says its vaccination rollout may last for 3 to 5 days. And that's the latest live. Back to you, Herlin.
Thank you, Dante Amento, reporting live.
The tally of COVID-19 cases in the country hit 578,381 after DOH logged more than 2,000 new cases today. In its latest case bulletin, the DOH said around 2,037 more people tested positive for the viral disease, raising the number of active cases in the country to 31,708. Of the active cases, 89.3% have exhibited mild symptoms, 5% were asymptomatic, 2.5% were in critical condition, 2.3% were severe cases, and 0.89% were in moderate condition. The DOH said 86 new patients have recovered from COVID-19, pushing the recovery count to 534,351. However, 4 more patients died, which raised the country's death toll to 12,322. Despite the COVID-19 vaccination program rollout, the Health Department reminds the public not to be complacent and continue to practice the minimum public health standards. Metro Manila remains under General Community Quarantine, or GCQ, for the month of March. According to Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, aside from National Capital Region, or NCR, the following areas will also be under GCQ: Luzon, Baguio City, Davao City, Batangas, Apayao, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Visayas, Tacloban City, Mindanao, Iligan City, Lanao del Sur. Meanwhile, the rest of the country will remain under Modified General Community Quarantine, or MGCQ, until the end of March. The director of the Philippine General Hospital became the first person in the country to officially receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Let us get to know Dr. Gerardo Legazpi, who is now considered part of the country's historic COVID-19 vaccination program. Joan Nano reports.
To encourage and to serve as an example to his fellow healthcare workers to get vaccinated against COVID-19, Dr. Gerardo Legazpi, who was the director of the Philippine General Hospital, was the first person in the country who was legally vaccinated against COVID-19 with the Coronavac, the China-made vaccines manufactured by Sinopharm Biotech. Also known to his colleagues as Dr. Gap, he has been active in his medical profession and teaching in neurosurgery. His expertise includes treating aneurysm, skull-base surgery, endoscopic surgery, among other diseases that are neuro-related. He is a diplomate in the Philippine Board of Neurological Surgeons, Fellow Academy of Filipino Neurosurgeons, and at the Philippine College of Surgeons. He also worked as a consultant in other government institutions such as Philippine Children's Medical Center, AFP Medical Center, as well as in Davao Regional Hospital in Tagum and Davao del Norte. Apart from the PGH, he also has his clinics in Medical City and St. Luke's Global City in Taguig.
Maintindihan po ninyo kung bakit ako ang unang nag-volunteer magpabakuna. Katulad sinabi ko, ang aking pong mga pananaw ay hango sa aking paniniwala sa datos at walang ibang patbasihan po. No?
Several personalities who greeted Dr. Gap include celebrity Sab Magalona and former advisor to the National Task Force Dr. Anthony Liachon. Dr. Liachon thanked Dr. Gap for serving PGH and the country as well. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.